Well, here we are looking at some brand new video from Mobile, Alabama, an area hit by an apparent tornado here. You can see some of the damage left behind. Trees knocked over, homes certainly damaged there. Just a mess. Certainly not what you want to see on any day, and certainly, of course, on a Christmas day. Folks, certainly we're not looking for this to come in on Christmas Day time. Unfortunately, that was the case in and around Mobile.
Yeah, 2 in just 5 days in Mobile. 2 tornadoes. Not a normal December.
No, not at all. Well, half past the hour, and thanks so much for staying with us here on Weather Center Live. I'm Alex Wallace.
And I'm Mark Elliott, and that storm threat continues through the southeast. It's not just Mobile, it's moved east from there. So here's kind of the wide view of our winter storm Euclid. Of course, that winter comes with an asterisk because it's a springtime storm towards the Gulf Coast. We zoom in towards the Gulf and we can see that we still have a tornado watch. This watch lasts until 5 a.m. and although we don't have any current tornado warnings, we have plenty of severe thunderstorm warnings and a lot of lightning and a lot of flooding rains as well. For the details on that severe threat, let's head on over to Alex.
Yeah, let's do it here. Unfortunately, again, we're talking about right across the Gulf coastal areas. You can see this line, this thin line of storms here that's in place, that darker shade of the red. Very heavy downpours, potential gusty winds associated with that line that is tracking its way across southeastern sections of Alabama, and they're right around the panhandle of Florida. North from there, it's mostly a steady rain. A few rumbles of thunder here and there as you get up and around Atlanta, but the severe threat, at least right now, appears to be associated with that line of storms. Good news is, notice what's happened there as you work your way back closer towards Montgomery, Pensacola. That line has passed you by, so you're out of the woods from this activity, but farther east, not the case. So Albany, certainly getting prepared for that line of storms to get into your neck of the woods. Closer view on what's going on with those warnings, as Mark was mentioning, several areas under severe thunderstorm warnings here for us across southeastern sections of Alabama and the panhandle of Florida. Gusty, damaging winds, the main threat right now with these storms, as again that line moves on off towards the east. Those winds could get in excess of 60, even 70 miles per hour. So please heed any warnings as they come out, because again, these storms have meant business. These are some of the storm reports over the last half a day, 12 hours or so, and that extends all the way back here into eastern Texas. The storms worked across Louisiana, Mississippi, and there we go across Alabama. So again, they have certainly caused some issues with hail, damaging winds, as well as tornadoes. Here around the Haynesville area, multiple trees down on one of the highways there, possible tornado issues as well there. And then as we slide just south of there, getting into far southern Alabama, an 18-wheeler overturned, mainly because, again, those strong gusty winds. So again, heed those warnings. All right, farther north, there we go with the steady rains. Atlanta, you're dealing with that, working your way now, starting to get on into western sections of the state of South Carolina. So some heavier rains are moving its way right along that 85 corridor. And look at all the lightning that we have in place, again, mainly with that line of storms to the south. So this is all going to press towards the east as we progress through the overnight hours. So we'll be watching, again, Atlanta. Can't rule out some stronger storms getting into your neck of the woods through the overnight hours, up towards the Greenville area, Tallahassee as well. Main threats would be damaging winds and hail, but can't rule out those tornadoes. In fact, Torcon values here, getting up here through the overnight hours here in the south sections of Alabama and in the Florida Panhandle, 7 out of 10. Pretty high value, so about a 70% chance of dealing with a tornado within a 50-mile radius. And then southwest Georgia, you've got a 5 out of 10 there. Mark?
And severe thunderstorms and tornadoes are dangerous no matter what time of day, but at night, the degree of danger is especially high, mostly because people are less likely to be aware of what's happening with the weather. The Weather Channel's Julie Martin shows us what you should do if you live in an area where a tornado outbreak is likely to hit overnight.
When a tornado hits in the middle of the night, there's little time to think, let alone feel anything. Cincinnati, Arkansas is a perfect example. A tornado struck in the early morning hours on New Year's Day.
This is where your daughter sleeps.
Yeah.
The Hignite family survived this killer tornado in the hallway. Fortunately, it woke them in time. But relying on a tornado or even a siren to jar you from sleep is not a safe bet. There is no national requirement for tornado siren systems. Many areas don't have them. Tools like NOAA weather radios and the Weather Channel's Notify system can keep you alive.
Actually, the Weather Channel called my cell phone, so honestly, it probably saved my life.
So go over your family's weather plan now. Look for shelter in a small, windowless, first-floor interior room like a closet or bathroom. I'm Julie Martin, the Weather Channel.
Thanks, Julie. And although we don't have severe weather on the West Coast right now, we do have another storm system that is kind of crashing the party. It's this big spiraling bowling ball pinwheel type feature that you see making its way towards the coast. And all these bright colors are the colder, taller cloud tops and a lot of moisture. So good news for the ski resorts there. Bad news for the travelers, though. And this moisture, it's tied back all the way down to the Hawaiian Islands. Not quite a Pineapple Express, but still a river of moisture coming in across the Pacific. And as you can see here in the Gulf of Alaska, yet another storm moving through. So this active pattern is going to be with us for a while. What it means right now is fairly steady lower elevation rains and higher elevation snows. We're looking through California here, and although the I-5 corridor is clearing out here, we still have some more showers further north for Portland up through Seattle. Alex.
All right, well, much more to come on Winter Storm Euclid. We have more on the snow and ice from this system. We'll get a report from Mike Seidel in Oklahoma City straight ahead. So stay with us here on Weather Center Live. Well, you're watching Weather Center Live, and we have more of our special coverage of Winter Storm Euclid.
In fact, let's get an update now from meteorologist Mike Seidel on the snow in Oklahoma City.
It is a blustery and frigid Christmas night here in Oklahoma City. Winds have gusted to nearly 40 miles an hour. Wind chills are in the single numbers. This massive storm has dumped snow as far south as North Texas and has produced rare Christmas tornadoes. Look at this rain and wind. This is storm chaser video near McNeil, Mississippi, where a tornado reportedly touched down this afternoon. There are reports of injuries and damage. And there is a rare Christmas snowfall hitting Dallas. It's bad news on the roads, signs warning of icy conditions. At least 3 reported tornadoes touched down across Texas today, causing lots of damage and leaving thousands without power. Thunderstorm winds toppled this tree onto a pickup truck in the Houston area, killing the driver. No fatalities, but plenty of cleanup this morning in Oklahoma City following this massive pileup. 21 cars and tractor trailers crashed, slipping on roads coated with freezing rain. Not just wind and ice, but snow is pounding parts of the west. In Northern California, near Lake Tahoe, an avalanche buried and killed a snowboarder. In Reno, slush is making a mess of streets. And poor visibility is a problem on the roads across the Rockies. Near Salt Lake City,
What happened?
I'm slid off.
the Department of Transportation is putting up flashing signs to help warn travelers. When temperatures dropped and snow started falling, the cars started sliding, and this semi crashed off I-80. Outside of Denver, snowplows are trying to clear things up. Here you can see the snow getting worse, blowing across the road from the hillside below. Lousy for drivers, but good times for sleigh riders and snowboarders. And take a look at these photos from northern Arizona. Low visibility on the road. Blizzard and winter storm warnings are flying tonight from Arkansas to Maine. Some of those don't end until early Friday morning. This is going to be a long duration event. Now for the big cities, Boston, New York, Philadelphia, it's going to be rain and wind. And that wind tomorrow evening and to Thursday could gust as high as 60 miles an hour. That could knock out power. And if you're flying tomorrow in and out of the northeast hubs, boy, pack a lunch. There could be long flight delays. Back to you.
That's right, Mike. Not only a lunch, but a good book or maybe some new tunes on the iPod, because it is going to be rough at many of the hubs across the country. Let's take a look for tomorrow, meaning Wednesday across the country. Indianapolis and Cleveland with that windswept snow, major delays. Now, New York City, you can see that we have some of those snowflakes mix in. It's mostly a rain event for you, maybe ending as a snowflake, but with wind and rain, you better bank on some delays there, too. In Nashville, it's going to be early, but there will be some delays there as well. Charlotte into Atlanta, the wind will be a big factor. Now, how about the flights here in the Midwest? If you're far enough west, Chicago, St. Louis, you should be okay on Wednesday. But again, Indianapolis, Detroit, Cleveland, absolutely shellacked. Heavy snow, lots of gusty winds. And Thursday, as that starts to taper off, we should get a lot of the problems out of the system. But there's still going to be some problems on the roadways. So let's get into the details. If you're traveling here along I-70, the worst of the travel will be overnight into Wednesday morning in St. Louis. A lot of the heaviest snow actually staying south and east of the I-70 corridor there. However, by Indianapolis, that's not true. Right on through the day, you're going to see very heavy snow and some big travel headaches because of it. And as we make our way towards Columbus, same story for you. Basically the entire day, heavy wind-blown snow, worst travel right on through the day. Here in the northeast corridor, rain towards the I-95 I-95 corridor, heavy snow further inland. Pittsburgh, for example, expecting major problems. Thursday, not much better. Albany, you're looking at some problems lingering. The further north you go, the more we'll see of those travel headaches. So if you're traveling I-80, Cleveland, you're socked in it right on through the day. Heavy snow even into the overnight hours into Thursday. You're still going to be snowing. State College, the afternoon hours will feature some snow south of town, mixing in, eventually changing over to rain. And in New York City, we're looking at heavy rain at least through part of the day. And here in the southeast, we can't forget about you. We're still looking at major impacts in Charlotte early on. The later flights should be all right. Alex, over to you.
All right, well, new information on Winter Storm Euclid is coming in all the time, and we're keeping you up to date on the impacts and the forecast. Storm specialist Dr. Greg Postel will have the latest track on what's happening now and what's to come. He's straight ahead in your winter weather update.
It's 50 past the hour. Time for your winter weather update. I am Storm Specialist Dr. Greg Postel with the latest on Euclid. And Euclid continues to produce significant amounts of lightning on the raging snowstorm on the northwest side over Arkansas. If you look at the radar right now, it is just lighting up with lightning strikes all across the region. I've been looking at a lot of reports in the last couple of hours, and thunder snow reports are widespread across the region. Generally, snowfall rates of about 1 inch an hour. That's about what I could find. And in western parts of the state, in fact, the snow is over. I saw a report here about of 11 inches of snow about 75 miles west of Little Rock. So significant amounts of snow has fallen, and this heavy snow is going to continue to move and develop off toward the northeast as Euclid generally evolves over the next 24 hours and will produce blizzard warnings and blizzard-like conditions from Jonesboro, northeastern Arkansas, all the way to Paducah, Kentucky, Evansville, Indiana, Indianapolis, Indiana as well. You have a blizzard warning out for you, and just northwest of Columbus, Ohio as well. But in the very southern part of the state, only winter weather advisories for you. So a sharp change in weather conditions over a very short distance, much like we've seen with many of the storms thus far this winter. Right now, looking at Euclid in the satellite picture, very impressive. High clouds here, a lot of thunderstorm activity across the southeast. Some enhanced clouds too, way back here on the northwest. That's where the upper level low is, and that's where we're seeing the thunder snow. Very strong jet stream dynamics are in play here. With the jet stream flowing around like that, it's really splitting apart and evacuating mass aloft right in here, allowing the thunderstorms to flourish across this region where the jet stream has split. And then on the backside in here, this is in the upper level low where the coldest air aloft is, and that's where we're seeing some of that thunder snow. There is a little conveyor here of some warm air and humid air as well that is coming off the Gulf of Mexico. It is rising as it's getting bent back into the circulation, and it's as it rises, it cools, and it's condensing and helping to form some of those heavy snowfall, thunder snow events across parts of Arkansas. That is going to continue throughout the night all across this region. Expect very similar conditions moving forward as we move this system forward through southern Missouri and southern Indiana and Illinois as well. Let's look at our future radar and show you where the surface low will be tomorrow over Nashville. And then what happens is it generally weakens over the Appalachians, but there's going to be some significant weather impacts as it does. Well, as this system weakens tomorrow afternoon and evening, notice there's going to be a significant amount of ice in here. Warm air aloft is going to be thrown back to the west, but near the surface it is still going to be relatively cold. So we're going to have a situation with freezing rain and ice in here in these areas shaded in pink in the higher elevations of West Virginia. And notice that along the coast, though, we're going to see a lot of rain as the coastal low develops tomorrow night. And what that's going to do is intensify the winds and bring very strong gusty winds up to 50 miles an hour along New York, New Jersey, and coastal New England as well, with a lot of significant snow across parts of northern New England. The ski resorts are going to do very well with well over a foot of snow likely with Euclid when all said and done later on Thursday. Back to you guys in the studio.
Thank you so much, Dr. Greg Postel. And we are tracking that threat for the severe storms here in and across the south. Still dealing with a tornado watch. That's the area that's shaded in the red. Southeastern sections of Alabama, southwestern Georgia, and they're into the panhandle of Florida. That watch is out until 4 o'clock Central Time, 5 o'clock Eastern. So we'll be watching this area very, very closely. The good news, at least right now, looks like we're starting to see some of these warnings calming down, but still an area to watch.
Yeah, still a lot going on this evening into the overnight hours. In fact, our special coverage of Euclid will continue all night long and into tomorrow right here on the Weather Channel. You can follow on air, online, and...
Well, now on Weather Center Live, a deadly severe weather outbreak in the south for Christmas Day. And the threat continues through the overnight hours.
Meanwhile, millions of others will get hit with heavy snow, ice, and gusty winds, not to mention thunder snow. Will Winter Storm Euclid force you to change your post-Christmas travel plans also?
And we have expert analysis on this widespread winter storm from the lower Mississippi Valley to the northeast. From the Weather Channel headquarters in Atlanta, you're watching Weather Center Live.
We start things off with video of a tornado that touched down earlier in Mobile, Alabama. Unbelievably, when you look at this video, there's been no reports of fatalities, no deaths from the storm. However, there have been some injuries and lots of structural damage. Mobile's Fire and Rescue says homes and businesses have been damaged. Trees and power lines are down. You can see the power flashes in the video, so obviously there were some power problems there.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Wow, what a mess there across Alabama.
Absolutely. Welcome to this extended edition of Weather Center Live. I'm Mark Elliott.
And I'm Alex Wiles. We've already had almost 20 reports of tornadoes today.
Yeah, and the tornado threat continues through the overnight hours. Luckily, the really active warning stretch wide view of our storm from the wintry side of things, from Little Rock to St. Louis, to the steady rain around Nashville, but also the severe threat down towards the Gulf Coast. This is a tornado watch. It lasts until 5 a.m. Eastern, 4 o'clock Central, and even if you're not seeing tornadoes, you're certainly seeing a lot of lightning, a lot of heavy rain. The flood threat is there as these storms are moving, but there's a lot of moisture with them. And for the details on this severe weather, let's go over to Alex.
All right, Mark, yeah, we're watching it very, very closely right now. Heavy downpours stretching across Tennessee, now beginning to press on into western parts of South Carolina and then trailing all the way back down towards the south. A line of storms. This has really been the area that we've been focusing on. It's moved across southern Alabama, now pressing its way into southeastern or southwestern Georgia, that we've been following closely with some of the warnings. But as of now, the warnings have calmed down. This is some good news out there for us, but it's still dangerous storms that are moving on through with some heavy rain, potential gusty winds, but at least right now, no warnings are in place. But heads up around the Dothan area, eventually working on over towards the Albany region. As we progress on through the next hour and a half or so, these will be moving in your general direction. There's a lot of lightning with these storms, and again, a lot of heavy rain as well. But again, right now, no warnings. But they have produced some issues. These are some of the storm reports over the last 6 hours or so as they've moved across southern sections of Alabama. In fact, one area in Grove Hill in southern Alabama, yeah, you're talking about a barn and trees blocking one of the roadways here because of a potential tornado there. And in the same town, Grove Hill, hail issues getting up around a quarter size, and the winds estimated at around 60 to 70 miles per hour. So Grove Hill certainly feeling the impacts from these storms. The good news, though, the storms have left that area, now moving on off towards the east. So even around Montgomery, where we've seen it had some wind damage issues, well, we've seen things calming down as the storms are now well to your east. But heavy downpours here for us farther north. Griffin back towards Atlanta, Athens, and now there we go, getting into western South Carolina. Greenville, you'll be getting in some of the steadier range here before long. But again, not much in the severe range, at least right now in these areas. There are some of the lightning strikes showing up farther south. There you go, moving across southeastern sections of Alabama. That'll cross the state line before long. And you can see what we have through the rest of the overnight hours. This area shaded in the red, that's what we'll be focusing on for the threat for severe storms, damaging winds and hail, and still can't rule out those tornadoes. Then tomorrow, we shift things a little farther to the east, now getting to the Carolinas. Even southern Virginia could be looking at some stronger storms, and down to the Sunshine State, including Tampa and Orlando, damaging winds and hail, and a few isolated tornadoes as well. Mark?
And Winter Storm Euclid started getting organized in East Texas, and that's unfortunately where the storm turned deadly. One person was killed in Texas after strong winds brought down several trees and hit the person. Now, just north of that deadly accident, witnesses reported a tornado touchdown in the city of Crockett. KPRC's Philip Mena arrived just as the winds died down.
I'm here in Houston County, about 100 miles north of the city of Houston, where the winds have died down dramatically here. But earlier this morning, there were several witness reports of a tornado, about 2 football fields. That was the size, according to witnesses. Now, all this mangled debris you see here, it used to be a feeder store. And the only reason you can even tell that it was a feeder store is in the distance. there are a few bags of feed just clinging to the ground there. Now, miraculously, there was no major reports of injuries. However, we did talk to a woman who said that she and her husband were driving down the road here trying to take cover from a hailstorm. They decided to seek shelter here at this feeder's building, which obviously no longer stands. Now, the truck was completely destroyed, but miraculously they came away with just some cuts and bruises. And right now the cleanup effort is underway, and there are some downed power lines, and crews are working here to try to get that up and running. But again, people here are just thankful that there were no serious injuries. Now, we're reporting in Pennington. Philip Mena, Local 6 News.
And of course, that damage stretched across the southeast, but we've got a parade of storm systems to watch. This is our next feature that we're watching here in the western United States. It's great news for the ski resorts yet again. However, it is a bad timing for the travelers after the Christmas holiday. This is the area of low pressure. You can see it really wound up off the coast. It's moving on in, tied back to a lot of moisture. In fact, you can see this moisture plume goes all the way back to the Hawaiian Islands and then up towards the Gulf of Alaska. Another storm that's going to be moving in too. So what does it mean right now? Well, a lot of precipitation towards the coastline. We're looking at lower elevation rains and some mountain snows. So you definitely want the chains in place and know how to put them on for the I-80 corridor. Alex.
All right, well, when Weather Center Live returns, we'll go in depth on the snowy side of the storm. Our storm specialist, Dr. Greg Postel, is in next with the latest on Winter Storm Euclid. Winter Storm Euclid brought a hint of a white Christmas and hazardous driving conditions to the North Texas area this afternoon. The system was producing icy road conditions in the Texas Panhandle early Christmas morning and dropped anywhere from a dusting to several inches of snow. Blustery wind conditions of 25 to 35 miles an hour with gusts even higher contributed to the poor road conditions. Well, storm specialist Dr. Greg Postel, he's in the Global Forecast Center.
He's tracking Winter Storm Euclid for us tonight, and we've all been watching that heavy snow band moving north and east. Who's in for it now?
Well, you know, you can think of Paducah. They changed over to snow about 2 hours ago. Last ob I saw for them was only light snow, but it's going to get heavier, and I wouldn't be surprised if thunder snow is in play for them as well. We don't see any lightning strikes in the last half hour here, but I wouldn't be surprised as this storm continues to move off to the northeast that we'll see more and more as the night goes on. Let's look at the radar and show you where we're seeing those thunder snow, those lightning strikes over the last hour. They were in northeastern Arkansas. There's a pretty good cluster there. Heavy snow rates over 1 inch an hour falling there. But Paducah, again, you changed over to snow a couple of hours ago. Looks like now a very heavy band is going to be setting up very close to you. You are under a blizzard warning. So that's where I anticipate the next round of lightning strikes to be, right in that region, then moving east-northeastward from there. Looking at the latest storm reports over the last couple of hours, here's one. Downtown Little Rock, snow accumulation of 8 inches, and that was about an hour ago, and they still had reported heavy snow, so they're probably up closer to 9 inches right now in downtown Little Rock. There may be a little bit more in store for you, another inch or two at least, as the storm continues to pummel Arkansas. Look at these blizzard warnings out right now. Jonesboro, Paducah, Evansville, Indianapolis, blizzard warnings just to your northwest in Columbus, Ohio. You are officially there in the city in a winter storm warning, and this is a very significant storm that's got a long track, will produce a long track of blizzard-like conditions with very windy conditions and near zero visibilities. This is what it looks like in a satellite. We got a couple of components. This is where the thunderstorm activity is occurring right here in that enhanced cloud feature. The blizzard is back in here on the northwest side of the storm near the upper level low. The jet stream has split apart. One branch doing this, another branch doing that, and that's produced a sort of a thunderstorm that sort of evacuated the air aloft and allowed thunderstorms to flourish in this region. But underneath the very cold air aloft right in here, this is where the heavy snow is, and the storm is so strong it's brought in very low-level humid air all the way up back into that cold air. Look at this enhanced cloudiness right in here. These are relatively high cloud tops, probably over 20,000 feet, that are producing some of those thunder snow returns that we've been seeing in the radar, and that's where that section is right there, extending all the way northeastward into parts of Indiana now and even maybe western Ohio, and that will only continue to expand northeastward as the night rolls on. By 4 o'clock tomorrow morning, the surface low will be near Nashville, and then moving east-northeastward from there, we will see Some sleet and freezing rain, in fact, in parts of the higher elevations, the eastern slopes of the Appalachians over parts of West Virginia and extreme western Virginia. But notice that this low tomorrow during the day will move east-northeastward and then weaken. That's why I faded out here. And a new one will form here, much closer to the coast. That will swirl in some mild air from the Atlantic Ocean. That will keep the coastal cities here of D.C., Philly, and New York all rain, if not almost all rain. Boston, you may start out a little bit here, just maybe west of 495, a little bit of sleet or snow, but then you too will probably go over to rain as this low develops and keeps bringing in that marine layer inland. However, I should mention though, northern New England, you are going to see significant amount of snow with this feature. Over a foot of snow is likely for you in the ski resorts of the White and Green Mountains and in the western mountains of Maine. This is going to be a great event for you where winter storm warnings are out. And if I could just show you the snowfall totals, this is what we've got in a swath. There's 6 to 12 inches there in the pink. Moving northeastward from there, look at this, 6 to 12 inches, and in places over a foot of snow in the northern parts of New England, the higher elevations. Back to you guys in the studio.
All right, thanks so much, Dr. Greg Postel. A lot to track with Euclid. And there's much more to talk about with this winter storm.
Yeah, in fact, we're going to break down the city-by-city impacts still in the path of this powerful storm system. You need to stay with us, whether you're on the snow side of things or the severe side of things. We've got both continuing through the overnight hours. And right now, we're checking out St. Louis. St. Louis is one of those cities that we're going to be giving you this the timeline, breaking it down hour by hour for you. But right now, cloudy skies, snowflakes are knocking on the doorstep. They're moistening up the atmosphere right now. So we're seeing snow, but it's not yet reaching the ground. It's known as Virga, but it's going to be coming on in. We'll have all the details on your city coming up next. Welcome back to Weather Center Live as we continue to track Winter Storm Euclid, moving through basically the eastern two-thirds of the country. We've got a snow side, we've got a severe side. We are watching it all for you. As we move on down towards the Gulf Coast, this is where we still have our tornado watch in play. It goes until 5 a.m. Eastern, 4 a.m. Central Time, and there's plenty of lightning in here, even if we don't have any active warnings at the moment. Lightning is deadly on its own, so you definitely want to take these storms seriously. Onto the snow side of things, from Little Rock to Paducah, up towards St. Louis and Indianapolis, you're just now on the outer fringes. But check this out, where we've got those big snow bands, we've got those red symbols. Yeah, those are lightning strikes. We have thunder snow in northern Arkansas and southern Missouri. Alex.
All right, Mark, and now that we're in the sort of a big time, winter time of the year, we've developed for this year a new winter weather impact scale. It's known as StormCon here, and it basically is for some of the major cities that will be impacted by these winter storms, just to give you a sense of how bad things are going to be. And several things come into play in terms of what we're going to be talking about. Snow, ice, wind, all of the above, and what time of the day and week it is. And it's all on a scale that goes from 1 up to 10, 10 being the highest. And that means you're talking an extreme storm with debilitating impacts. 8 to 9, those StormCon values mean it's a major storm, multi-day impacts, and then you've got 6 to 7 where it's a significant event, and the impacts could be for a day or so. And that's what we're finding with this system, Euclid, at this point. 7 values here for us, and that includes Little Rock, thanks to snow and wind, and also up around Indianapolis, a 7 out of 10. So pretty high on the scale in these areas. Impacts will certainly be felt. So for the rest of our overnight, here's Little Rock, still snowing for us. We've got the heavy snow and the wind, 5 to 8 inches of additional snow. That's the potential for us, and those winds, 25 to 35 miles per hour. As we move our way through our Wednesday, well, snow's done, but we've got partly cloudy skies, and the temperatures aren't going to warm up a whole lot. Upper 30s, still a bit breezy, and then we'll work our way into Thursday, a mix of sun and clouds. Those temperatures warming up a little bit now into the 40s, and the winds not as bad. So things certainly improving for us in and across central sections of Arkansas, but not going to be looking so great in Indianapolis. Our conditions will be moving downhill. Snow begins to develop. We'll see maybe 1 to 2 inches here for the overnight hours. The winds will also be picking up. And as we work through our Wednesday, here's the heavy snow and wind, 5 to 8 inches of snow. And look at those winds, 25 to 35 miles per hour. And Indy, it'll all work from you and eventually move east from there. Right, Mark?
Absolutely. The Northeast corridor, especially interior section of the Northeast, you're in for quite the snowstorm. That includes you in Buffalo, New York, where right now we've got cloudy skies, temperatures in the upper 20s. They'll continue to fall through the night, really setting the stage for quite the snowstorm. So we've got StormCon values not only in the Midwest, where Alex was just showing you, but also the Ohio Valley into the Northeast. So let's kick things off here across the Northeast, the Great Lakes area, Cleveland, Syracuse, Buffalo, all of you with the StormCon of 8 on the scale. That's right, 8 out of 10, a fairly significant event on the way. We were just talking about Buffalo, so let's get into the details for you. We start things off overnight, where it's all about the partly cloudy skies, low temperatures in the low to mid 20s. But again, that is just setting the stage. The wind's not too bad yet, but Wednesday, that starts to change. Notice the winds 20 to 30 miles per hour. It's only light snow at this point. 1 to 2 inches will pile up through the day, but overnight Wednesday, the heavy snow moves in. 6 to 12 inches of snow, along with those winds gusting close to 35 miles per hour. In fact, gusts could be even higher than that. And we can't forget about you in Cleveland either. We're looking at big impacts for you. Overnight, the clouds move in, low temperatures right at that freezing mark. You're already going to see the winds, but as we go through the day on Wednesday, that's when the heavy snow moves in. 6 to 10 inches of snow through the day, and then at night, an additional 3 to 5. So some of you could be approaching 15 inches of snow when all is said and done. But this is important too. 30-mile-per-hour winds are going to be kicking on in, so that snow is going to be blowing and drifting around. Alex, over to you.
Yeah, some rough wintry weather. Well, straight ahead here on Weather Center Live, we're going to focus on the severe weather from this storm and get an update on tonight's tornado threat and show you how to stay safe.